Okay, boys and girls, welcome to a whole brand new episode of Car Radio. Today, I'm very excited to announce that I have a very, very cool guy first, but also the senior designer over at Mclaren to talk to us today about the Mclaren Speedtail. And then at the end as well, I have a few questions that you guys asked me to ask him as well, so we'll leave it to the end. But first, let me introduce Alex from Mclaren. Alex, how you doing, man?
Good. Thank you. Good.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. I think we've run into each other a few times at shows, and finally it's a good time to do this. So,
So we've been everywhere, from a Hampton Court to I think Salon Privé, and then other shows previously as well. Yeah. And one thing is for sure, right? Everyone who knows you, everyone says how nice you are as a guy. So it's like everyone says Alex is a really, really nice guy. So that's like a universal thing that everyone talks about. So really glad to have you on the show today. So Alex, look, when I was a kid, I think most of us who were into cars, when we were kids, we all wanted to be either a racing driver or like a car designer or something. Because I know from my own experience, when I was in school, when we did like portraits, I always ended up sketching cars. I mean, badly, but that was what my passion was, because I just loved the whole idea of cars. And then I was making cars out of, it's really hard to explain because I grew up in Africa, right? So we used like wire that you bend into the shape of a car and then put it all together with rubber bands and whatever to make a car. That's what we used to do. So like for you growing up, what was it like? I mean, did you always want to work in the car industry, or was that something that you kind of like fell into later on in life?
Well, I mean, like you as well, I'm not originally from America or England or anything. So I grew up in Bulgaria. I was born there, and about 10 years or so, I lived in the country before moving to the States. So I also, always liked cars. I think I remember my first Hot Wheels was, a little Trans Am, Pontiac Trans Am. So I still remember that thing. But, yeah, we used to make, little wooden cars and stuff and toys. And that was that's how I kind of got exposed to cars and what I really liked about them. Never was that a plan for me as far as, career. Huh. I always liked cars. I always liked drawing a lot as well. So for me, kind of that merge between the two of them really happened just about kind of high school level, as they say, grade 9 through 12 in the States, where I kind of thought, okay, well, let me see actually how I can find out about this, because I like drawing, I like the creation of things, design, that kind of thing, and how do I apply that to cars? And it's one of those interesting fields where a lot of people don't know the answer to that. So even speaking to teachers, instructors, and everything, they always thought, oh, you just have to be an engineer, and then you design cars. So yeah, it was a really difficult challenge actually to find out how to actually get into this road. And as I kind of matured, obviously, and I got towards finishing up my studies and graduating high school, I started watching this TV show called Overhauling. And on that show was Chip Foose. Now, Chip Foose was, this super talented guy as well. He's not only a designer, but he builds a lot of these cars, really high-end kind of restoration, modified classic cars as well. Yeah. So on the show, he did a lot of sketching. So he would talk to a client, he would do a sketch live, with markers, chalk, the whole thing, and give it to the customer as an impression of this is what your car is going to look like. And I was just like, man, that's what I want to do, because that's the art and that's the cars, and it all kind of comes together. So doing a bit of research there, I ended up finding out that he studied at Art Center College of Design, and that's the university out in California. So looked into that. Obviously, it was on the other side of the country for me. I was in Florida. That's where I grew up. Yeah. In California, 3,000 miles away. Super expensive university. They required some of the most strict entrance portfolios that I've ever, been aware of. And really, in the United States, there's two places to go. It's either creative studies, College for Creative Studies in Detroit, or California. I think I chose the warmer climate for a reason. So
naturally, yeah.
But pretty much that's how it kind of all started. I've always liked cars. I've always liked design and sketching and artwork and kind of the culmination of art and science, and that is pretty much design. In automotive design, you work with the engineering teams, you work with the aerodynamics teams. It doesn't just have to look good; it has to perform a function. So, and then that's what I really like, because it's a very practical, methodology to approaching a challenge. It's not just creating art for the sake of art. It actually solves a problem, and I think that's one of the things that led me down this path. So.
See, that is amazing, right? Because you had that initial inspiration from watching some guy doing sketches for you to realize, you know what, I want to try that. There are probably like loads of kids around the world maybe who have no access to the internet or even like a television or something like that. And then they have no kind of like, how can I say, spark to make them think maybe I can do something like this. So it's interesting how inspiration kind of like, how is a kid, something as simple as maybe watching a TV show or maybe reading a book or something can inspire you to a path that you're going to take. Eventually that will become a career. So that's, I find that very, very interesting.
No, it's great. And especially now with social media, I mean, you know all about this, but it's opened the door for so many opportunities like this. You know, sometimes I'll get messages from people in Australia or South America or where, and it's really cool because it's really linked and opened the door for a lot of these conversations. I wouldn't have, had a much easier time finding out about design if Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or any of that was really popular back in, 2000 whatever one. So it would have really helped. So I think at the moment there's a lot of tools now and a lot of opportunities for people to be really exposed to stuff like this. So
yeah, we live in such an incredible time. I mean, with everything, I think we're at the cusp of where things are changing from how we know it as when we're growing up to a whole completely different thing. Obviously, talking about like electric cars, for example, we're moving from obviously gas engines, which some of us love very much, to a whole new era. And it's, in a way, it's sad for us that we're leaving the old behind because we're used to the old, we're moving to the new. But to a kid, I guess, growing up, I don't know, 10 years from now will be like just normal life. And they'll never get to know the other side of things. But in a way, we're quite lucky that we have that. We get the best of both, so to speak. Yeah,
seeing the transition is important. It's really nice because you can always retain the good parts from one and really kind of push that into the future. So
yeah. So after your studies, when did the big break come? Like, you know what? I actually you went for maybe a job interview, you applied for a job, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm actually now a car designer. So when did that happen, and what did it feel like when you realized, like, you know what, I've actually achieved my dream?
Well, yeah, as I guess it's hard to kind of pinpoint, but there is one opportunity that I think I was exposed to that really let a lot of this happen for me. Going to the art university, Art Center College of Design, I mean, it's super creative environment, super competitive environment. I mean, to put it into perspective, when we started my program, there was about 26 kids, 30 kids. I could probably say about 6 of us graduated after about 4 years or so. So it's the kind of thing where first monetary concerns come into play. How do you pay for this? Secondly, the competition and the jobs. There are probably less car designer jobs in the world than there are football players, for example. So
that I can definitely see that. Yeah.
When you put it into that perspective, you're going into a super competitive, super creative environment where you first. I think I got really lucky as well. There's always an element of luck, and if people don't agree with that, I think they're a bit naive because you do have to be at the right place at the right time at moments in your life for things to align. But anyway, so through college, I think one thing that's really unique about design is a lot of people go through internships. They do placements, particularly in America, it's during uni, but here, I know in the UK, it's mostly post-graduation or sometimes before. But anyway, you try to do as much as far as networking, as far as the, kind of learning on the job. I did an internship at Volvo in Camarillo, California. I did another internship in Japan in Toyota, an advanced studio. Yeah. So you try to be as exposed as you can to learn as much as you can, because there's obviously different mindsets of design depending on the region you're working for. So obviously, along that path, you kind of aspire to be at a company, you aspire to work somewhere, and you kind of create what is your ideal vision and how you want to be in the industry after you graduate. But reality often strikes, and it's not what you think it is. In this case, like I said, for me personally, Mclaren is a halo brand. I mean, I had an F1 on my wall when I was 6 years old. So, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think most of us probably did. So it was one of those things where I figured, you know what, that's well beyond what I expect to achieve. So, I've always liked the brand. I've always liked Lamborghini. I've always liked, I had different levels of approach that I wanted to take. And in this case, what ended up happening was I was quite active at the university. I helped out with events, car shows that the school would always put on events and have the design students sitting there sketching, for example, at Pebble Beach. So I used the opportunities presented by the university to kind of just learn as much as I can about the events, the shows, the people, the culture of cars. And anyway, towards the end, about graduation time, was around the time McLaren launched the P1. They launched the P1. I was doing my final semester of university. I actually did a Lamborghini project. But anyway, so I did the project, and just after graduation, around March time. So we graduated in the fall, and around March time, my head of programs at the university said, "Hey, by the way, there's a private unveiling of the P1 to customers and some dealers and stuff in Beverly Hills." And he said, if you want, let me know, and then I'll make sure to get you guys in, and that way you can see the car, you can meet some of the people. And I think a few students were offered this opportunity, and it was, not the best time for some people, or it was just too far away. It's on the other side of town.
Wow.
And I said, there's no way in hell I'm going to miss this. So, I was there, and actually I was the only one that showed up.
No way.
So, I know. So at the time when I went, obviously my university director was there. Frank Stephenson was there. Frank is another former alum of Art Center College of Design. So obviously there's a bit of a connection there, and that's why the students were asked, "Hey, do you want to come?" So Frank was there. I kind of looked around all night, looked at the car. I was drooling. It was hard to keep myself composed. Because at the time it was the volcano orange car that was just launched.
That was a launch color, wasn't it? I think. Yeah,
exactly.
The launch color.
Yeah. And even the interior, nothing had been revealed as far as the interior goes. So the glass house was blacked out. It was painted in from the insides. So there was no interior. Well, there was an interior, but it wasn't public yet. So anyway, I went to the show. It was fantastic. Jay Leno was there. Everyone was there. We were looking at the car, chatting, talking, and I was fortunate enough, like I said, to be invited. Ended up going, and my program director at the time approached Frank and was like, "Hey, Frank, this is Alex. He's just graduated. Why don't we get him a job?" And it was literally that straightforward, and I was just a bit like, "Okay." So
wow.
Obviously, being an eager and hungry graduate, I obviously had a portfolio. I had one of these little things with me. I don't know if you can see it, but
there's USB things.
Yeah, I had, they used to make them like a little credit card, but they had a USB in them. And that was how I had my graduation portfolio. And I was instantly ready. He's like, "Oh, send me your portfolio." I have it with me. So I handed it over. And, great night. Met some great people, obviously looked at the car. And about a couple weeks later, Frank had gotten back to England. Obviously shared my portfolio with the rest of the team. With Rob Melville at the time, who was there as well. It's quite a small team at the time. It was about 6 people, I think. And a few weeks later, I heard back from Mark Roberts, who was the studio manager at the time, and he just basically said, "Hey, would you like to come out for an internship?" And at first, I was like, "Okay, no problem. Of course, yeah, of course." So I definitely took him up on the offer. I came out here in about May-ish, 2013, and next thing you know, it's 2020, and I'm still here.
That's literally 7 years ago. That's pretty so recent.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. Time's flown by. It's been great. Like I said, joining was never a real kind of a plan. I never thought this was going to be possible. So it was just a luck, a risk. Like I said, trekking across Los Angeles at rush hour time traffic. I wasn't going to miss it for anything. So yeah.
That is so interesting. Like you said earlier that sometimes you get lucky, but at the same time, I think sometimes you put yourself in positions where you kind of make your own luck as well. Because like you said, a lot of other students will offer the same opportunity, but you saw something different in that opportunity and you took it up. So had you not done that, so in a way, you kind of made your own luck in the first place, right? So I guess the elements of that as well. But it's so crazy when you see the journey of So a mini version of you from way back when, watching this, I don't know, TV show of this guy sketching. And then obviously you go into high school, then uni, and then like taking this opportunity to go see the P1 being unveiled. And then the next thing you know, you are working at McLaren. That's kind of nuts. When you
do pinch yourself sometimes, because you never know. You never know what door is going to open wherever you go and whoever you meet. So
just be receptive to possibilities and I guess take risks, as they say, right?
Exactly. Worst case that could have happened is I would have seen the P1 and that would have been the end of it. But still, I would have seen the P1. So.
Oh my gosh. So what was that first day like at McLaren? I guess, did you arrive at the McLaren Technology Center?
I mean, just like probably everyone around the time, there was a documentary about the McLaren factory, building a supercar or something anyway. So it was great, about 20, 30-minute documentary on YouTube. And I watched that probably about 20 times before. Arriving, I was just so excited to see the cars, the production, the building. I mean, it's like working at a James Bond villain lair. It's like
God,
so out there and so high tech. It's not like many other buildings or places. So anyway, I kind of tried to get myself in a mindset. Super excited. I showed up my first day, and you show up to a gatehouse. It's obviously super confidential stuff going on between Formula One and everything else. So they tell you which way to go. You go up, the BC finger. You take a lift up. You go to reception. They'll tell you where to wait, what to do, and so I ended up arriving. I was collected in the first day in the studio. There's your desk. We have a review in 3 days. Could you please do some sketches for the 720S? Okay. So, it was a great opportunity. And it was kind of, you're jumping in the deep end. It's one of those places where no sketch goes unutilized, no time is wasted. So you effectively produce to work from day one. So, it was such a good opportunity to kind of get knee deep in it immediately. And you have to kind of pick up the program where it is and crack on. So. That's very much, I think, it's a very, sorry to interrupt you, but it's a very kind of Formula One driven attitude, because it's like, we got a problem, we got to fix it, move, it's like, there's not too much time to kind of just sit and, waste time. So. Yeah.
Because everything at McLaren seems very, very fast paced. McLaren reminds me of like every year you have a new iPhone, right? And I just get the impression McLaren, everything just works like, everything is fast. I mean, you release so many cars, so many models of cars coming out like on a regular basis. I think you got is it Fast 22 or Track 22? McLaren. Yeah. So that's very soon. I'm excited to see what McLaren is going to come up with in the next year and a bit. And there's so many things going on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the company has to have a vision, has to have some targets that they outline. So it's cool. All that stuff gets updated as the cars obviously come out, but. There's a lot of products coming out a couple of years ago, especially. But I think now it's kind of starting to stabilize, isn't it? Because you have your Sport, Super, and Ultimate series, so it's it's kind of a clear cut which car sits where, and it's good. It's a really exciting time.
Yeah, and for me, McLaren, they make some of the most when you see a McLaren, it's very difficult to not remember a McLaren model. Like the 720S when it came out, I remember my first memory of I think it was Paul's Supercars of London. He was invited to one of the unveilings or something, and I remember when I tuned in, the car was just spinning around, and I saw the silhouette of the car. I just remember thinking, wow, those lines are beautiful. And then the lights came on, and then I go to see the rest of the lines of the car. For me, that side view is absolutely beautiful. And then around the back as well, that back is oh man. It is just it is beautiful. For me, I think from a design aesthetics point of view, the lines, everything just flows for me, and for me that is aesthetically very, very pleasing, I think. And obviously you worked on that. I mean, what was that like when you get a design brief? I mean, what is it like the first meeting of when a new model is coming out?
Generally, yeah. When the design is kicked off or there's a brief, it's that's a combination of engineering coming together with design, with marketing, and everyone's got external factors that influence what this car is going to be. So, sometimes it involves speaking to customers about, for example, what was the 650S like, and where does the 720 need to be. But I think one of the things we do very well is that a lot of the time when a car is being replaced, for example, 650 to 720, it's not an evolution of a change. It's a revolution.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of really unique technology, whether it's design and all those things that come together. So it's not the very subtle change to the product. It's a big change, and it's a big change that will make the car perform better, look fantastic, and really kind of be iconic. And I think, like you said as well, for me, I think there's a strong identity anyway between the products. So although the design language might evolve, and some of the cars, if P1, you compare that to the 720, it's still a McLaren. There's everything, all the principles and the way that the cars are designed with the kind of the values are all applicable on every single product. So everything is inspired by nature. Everything is shrink wrapped. Everything's there for a reason on a McLaren, and those are the things that will always be the case on every car. I'm sure we do. So, but having kind of this iconic image, the P1 is going to have probably the most recognizable rear end forever. Looking at the 720S front end as well. That was, obviously. Yeah. Paul Howes and Rob did a fantastic job on that, and that front end is going to be iconic for a long time. Because it serves a function, the headlight being an intake, but it's striking. You can't mistake that for anything else. So
that's the interesting thing of a fan. Yeah, no, I'll let you carry on.
Sorry. To your point, yeah, it's the product briefs are effectively the targets for the car. It has to be the most stunning McLaren. It has to do this. It has to be that much downforce. It needs to have integrated active aero. So that's effectively what it is. It's a composition of kind of keywords, key phrases that put together an idea of what this car is, and then it's for the rest of the teams, for to kind of come together and propose options and different ways that the car could be developed and designed. So I think at the end of the day, once you go through the process, you ultimately get what you get at the end. But they're very strong targets at the beginning of every project.
Interesting. So you said when you were 6, you had that pictures or posters of the McLaren F1 on your wall, right? So yep. How did that translate? It's like, I remember the first time I saw that car, I was like, this possibly can't be real. Like, humans actually made this. I think it was a Top Gear program or something. And then I remember, I think it was Jeremy who opened the engine bay, and there's this gold leaf everywhere. And then they're talking about the whole like ground force effect and all these things. I'm just thinking, how is this possible? Because to me, there was nothing like the F1 when F1 came out. There's nothing like hypercars at the time. I mean, the F40 was cool when I was like, wow, that's an incredible car. And then obviously the Diablo, every kid has a poster of that. But when the F1 came out, oh my gosh, that was like, it was like an evolutionary leap in terms of like what a car is able to do. Like just the way it looked was like nothing else. And then the tech they used and carbon fiber tubs they used, no other car I think was doing that at the time as well. And the whole thing that this car was not just made for racing on track, but you could actually use it as a daily car as well. You can carry 2 extra people, you have space for luggage and all these things, and yet it was also the fastest car in the world. So that combination for me was absolutely mind-blowing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that car had ultimate vision. I mean, it had also a very small team on it that were very aligned to each other, and they were all just doing what they, all agreed on. I mean, the technology is amazing. The detail's amazing. If you've ever seen one of those things taken apart, the control arms are beautiful. The bolts that hold them on are beautiful. There's not one detail on that car that isn't fantastic. And I think that's the mindset that really came from the racing side, as well as obviously with Gordon Murray and the rest of the team that developed that. To me personally, like they were fanatical about every detail, and that's how you create an iconic car, because it's not just about how it looks or just about having the fastest 0 to 60 acceleration or anything like that. It has all of it. So yeah.
I will never forget. And then the fact that it also it's a manual. I mean, everything I love about cars, it had everything there for a proper gearhead, someone who loved cars. And it's a beautiful story. Okay. So let's put the McLaren F1 to the side, reluctantly onto the side. Let's talk about the Speedtail, okay? So the Speedtail, obviously, a lot of people think that is the successor to the McLaren F1 or it's a replacement to the F1. But from what your point of view, tell me the story of how the Speedtail became to be, the development process, and and your role in that.
Well, Speedtail, I guess when it kind of kicked off. I mean, I know you saw the car, and you got some really good footage of it in Hampton Court. So It was nice to nice to chat, nice to chat with you a little bit about it with Steve as well. So, but no, I mean the cars originally when it kicked off was quite interesting because when we kicked that off a couple of years, geez, it's been a few years now. The program itself was supposed to be only a handful of cars. It was supposed to be for a very, very limited production run. I think it was like 6 cars or something. And then
6 cars.
When people found out about it, obviously there's a lot of interest. You're sitting in the middle. It's super exciting. And slowly the program expanded. It went from 6 to 12 to 30 something, and then ultimately ended up at 106. Yeah. And obviously the 106 is obviously related to the number of F1s.
Oh, the produced. F1 as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was limited at that, but from the kickoff, like I said, there's been a few moments like this in my kind of design experience of life that I've just thought, how the heck did I end up in this position? And when that kicked off, we were all, super thrilled. I mean, you're working on what is the next 3-seater, a car that is a nod to the F1. It's like it's super exciting opportunity. So, like I said, the program, when we worked on it, changed a little bit, but very, very cool because from a design perspective, you're looking to create something that's very different than a Senna, than anything else we've done. So it also challenged us to look, and in the interior as well, you're sitting in the middle. I mean, not many designers in history have been able to design a fully symmetrical interior because obviously you're either left or right-hand drive. So a whole new set of challenges. But super exciting, and it's the kind of project you probably get to do once in your lifetime. So, yeah,
it's a madness. I remember the unveiling at when I say remember, that's actually not quite true because I was in Geneva, and I was walking around. It was my first time in Geneva as well. I was at a car show, and for some mad reason, I actually missed him. I missed the Speedtail. I couldn't believe it. And then when I realized that it was there, I couldn't find it anymore because I think they moved it from one place to another. Yeah, so I spent, I think, a whole day trying to find the Speedtail, and and I couldn't find it. And I was so frustrated because I don't remember seeing the pictures online. My first thought was like, it looked like someone got a piece of, what's that material? Not lint, of
like
silk.
Some kind of
it looks like someone
silk,
just got silk and just pinched it and just let it flow through the air. It's like, you can't help but think about air when you think about the Speedtail. Just it's more about the elegance of the shape and just how effortless it looks. It just looks like this thing can just cut through air like it doesn't even exist. It just has that really elongated, very elegant, very smooth, very... I don't know what words to use, but there's something very silk-like and very effortless about the design of it.
Well,
and I think
you're
using...
Cool. You're using the right words, so that's fine. Yeah.
It just flows, isn't it? Everything just flows from one to the next, and then just that back end, the way it just kicks off. Yeah, it is like I don't design cars, but to me that's just like, wow, someone just got a pen, just went like that, and I was like, yep, the car's complete. That's what it looks like to me, and everything just seems so seamless to the point of where the rear aileron, I don't know what the right word is.
No, that's
the
correct.
fact that it's seamless as well. It's just I don't know what kind of tech that is, but the actual bodywork will curl up and curl down, and there's no seams in between. I mean, what is going on there? I mean, I'm losing my mind out in here. So I'll let you talk about the whole, how all the design and how the shape became what it is and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the car itself, you described, I think, well. It's all about kind of this sleek and seamless approach that was used. It's, reducing the unnecessary. It's completely different than a Senna, But there was a really interesting challenge as well, because you said like you said as well, everything's kind of flowing from one shape to another. It almost looks like an effortless kind of volume where the airflow can just flow beautifully around the car. And there's quite a lot of work that goes into that. And I think the exterior team, the aerodynamic team, all the guys. I mean, it was such a challenge to make sure that proportionally the car looks nice, that the aerodynamically it functions, and it just looks beautiful. I think the car's previously been described as a future concourse classic, and that's that's the kind of environment the car thrives in. I think it looked amazing in Hampton Court when you came as well and you saw it, because it's like that's exactly the environment it's designed for. It kind of fits really well in there, and not only does it do that well, but it also has some of the fastest acceleration, and actually is the fastest accelerating McLaren we've ever done. So it's really cool when all of those elements come together. But all of that kind of idea, you can see, actually makes for a very unique shape, a very unique, recognizable shape again on McLaren, because it's not a Senna with big intakes and a lot of downforce and a big wing. It's super integrated, super refined. And that's what also leads to technology like the one you mentioned on the ailerons. So that was a really cool part of the program, because when we were doing that, we were obviously doing sketching, and there was multiple themes and everything. But like I said, when a team is aligned and they deliver exactly what the vision is, you get opportunities like those ailerons. So at the time we were sketching, it was actually pretty cool, because we thought, okay, well, what can we do to really continue this sleek and seamless approach to make sure that we don't have extra parts that aren't necessary, moving things, heavy mechanisms, stuff like that. And I looked to, obviously every one of us looked to kind of find a solution. And one of the things that was really cool that kept popping up a little bit was this flex foil style systems, where they actually looked at reducing drag on wings, on planes. Because obviously you reduce drag on a plane, that equals fuel costs, et cetera, means your efficiency goes up quite a lot. And anyway, that being said, that was presented in one of the reviews, and everyone was like, oh, actually, that's pretty cool. Can we make this work? A living carbon fiber panel that bends, or the live hinge. And the engineering guys were super up for it. They're like, yeah, let's do it. This will work. So they did some like proof of concepts, as we call them, and they mocked up like a trailing edge of the rear of the car. The thing was put through, I don't know how many, it was like hundreds of thousands of cycles to test the carbon fiber for fatigue. And it was really cool to see that, because that was like done downstairs in the dungeons secretly, and it was really cool. And now you see it, and it's on a car, and really the Speedtail is a show car for the road. It's like the stuff on it, on the exterior and on the interior is so far out there. It's you don't really get that on a production car ever. Very exciting. I mean, it was the kind of thing, like I said, where show car kind of solutions effectively put onto a car that a customer can buy, and that's I think it's exciting from that side as well, because a lot of people that have a Speedtail or getting a Speedtail, they're early adopters to technology that doesn't exist. So it's super cool to be part of that journey as well, if you think so.
See, it's crazy. The thing about one thing you see about McLaren is I think they're always trying to push. I don't want to use the word boundaries because it sounds very, very cliche, right? But I think with every generation of your top of the line cars, the F1, for example, it did things that no other car did, right? The P1 was doing things that no other car did in terms of like the drivetrain and all those things, and the design as well. And now the Speedtail just takes that to a whole new level. The whole thing, for me, like the hingeless live aileron thing, that was like, whoa. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Because I was trying to figure out how you guys doing this. I mean, I don't know anything about the tech, but it's just interesting that you had to employ that tech to keep that whole seamless kind of look. I mean, literally, if aliens could ever make a car, that's literally what it is. I think you guys have some secret aliens in the dungeon that you guys that are doing things, because it is just cool. It just looks really, really cool. And the practicality side of it as well, because I mean, not many cars can do what it does in terms of carrying passengers. You can literally carry 2 extra people in the car with you. And, it's a car that can go very, very fast, but at the same time, it's not designed necessarily for the track. It's designed more. It's a GT car, really, isn't it? It's like a hyper GT car, basically, to be able to travel long distances at speed, but also in complete comfort. At the same time, looking cool as hell, basically, at the same time. And I think that's a very, very cool combination in terms of or reimagination of what a hyper GT can be like. You know, so that to me, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a different take. It's like I said, it doesn't step on the toes of any other car. So yeah, it's cool. It's a cool journey to be part of. And like I said, when I was at Art Center, pulling all-nighters left and right, doodling whatever I was, I never thought that would be the challenge. I would be fortunate to be on a team of people that do develop. So super cool.
So you have now, the car has been designed and, you know, you've got the first model for the launch. What is that feeling like from when you know the car is going to be unveiled at Geneva, and, you know, what is it like leading up to that event? You know, how frantic is it? Because I'm trying to picture what it must be like inside the technology center, because that place looks very cool. It looks like an alien spaceship. It reminds me very much of the Apple, you know, the new Spaceship One, whatever they call it. Of course, that came after you guys. Maybe you guys inspired them. I don't know, but they literally look like two spaceships that just came out of nowhere and just landed like next to the lake or whatever it is.
It's funny it's funny you make that comment, but I think it's funny because it's a round building, and then you have a Speedtail like that coming out of it. It does seem a little bit kind of extraterrestrial. Yeah.
So I was expecting to hear that like alien sounds or something, because it's just crazy. Like there literally is nothing on planet Earth like it, because some cars you can relate them to look like other cars. The F1 came out, nothing like it. The Senna, nothing like it, right? Senna just looks like something like out of, I don't want to say hell, because it just looks like, you know what, like it just looks raw and angry. I mean, when it came out, I wasn't necessarily like, I was like, what is going on here? And then I saw one in the flesh and my mind changed, because I started to realize why certain design decisions were made. Because like you said, McLaren doesn't do anything just for the sake of doing it. Everything serves a function. Now, when you realize why that shape is the way that it is, or why that inlet is the way that it is, everything kind of falls into place. So you kind of have to appreciate engineering as well as design to really appreciate what McLaren is. But then you look at the Speedtail, that's just like, what is going on here? So every car is different, but the philosophy is the same throughout the different cars. I'm just getting a bit too excited. It's like I forget where I was before. What was I talking about before I even went into the whole Senna thing?
The building in Apple.
Yes. That is. It is crazy. Oh yeah, I was talking about the drama leading up to the launch of a car. What is that like?
That's right. Well, this one was a bit different compared to other kind of programs, because Speedtail was launched effectively sold out before we even finished designing the car. So from that perspective, it wasn't really a car that you needed to launch at a big event, at a big show, because it's already sold out anyway. So there was a really nice, really intimate showing to the customers in London, where they were all invited to come out, and that was the first time, I think October 2018. That was the first time that the customers were able to see the car. A beautiful place, you know, the way it was done. The silver car you saw, the show car, the liquid silver car, that was there. And I mean, they all had an opportunity to have a look at it. Obviously, everything was opening up interior and this, and so people were just, you know, the reactions were awesome. And seeing the kind of covers disappear off of it was, you know, pinch yourself again moment, because it was incredible after the many years of work and months that you know, the people put in together to deliver this thing. It was super cool. And after the customers have seen the car, then it kind of got put out into the public domain, and it started to show up at Goodwood or Geneva or other places. And I think that's also really cool, because stuff like this, although it's sold and like gone pretty quick, it's really nice when people get to see it. You know, the people at Goodwood, normal kind of people that probably will never own one, like me. But
you never said that.
but it's really cool because it's a halo product. It's like imagine not ever seeing an F1. That would be super big bummer because it's such an aspirational product, and it's super cool to be able to share it with people like that. So it's nice that the cars are making the rounds. I think recently, a couple weeks ago, there was one at Caffeine and Machine. A couple of times they were spotted up here near Guildford and stuff. Some of the test deals and stuff. So it's really cool because even as funny as you're working on it, and a lot of my friends at work as well will agree with this. Is like you work on this thing and it's super cool, and but you're used to it in that environment. You're used to it at MTC, or you're used to it in the production. But as soon as you see that car that you've seen a million times, and it passes you on the M25, you go, what the hell? It looks
effortless. It's not just like glides past you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
so
my gosh.
When you see it in a natural environment, it looks even more like a spaceship than anything. So yeah, super cool.
Absolutely insane. So obviously you can't talk about what's coming after the Speedtail. I can't imagine what I mean. Or like if even the P1, I cannot imagine what is going to come out of that spaceship next. It's like
yeah, there's always fun stuff. Yeah, there's always fun stuff going on.
I could imagine. Okay, look, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Let's go through some of the questions that were asked through social media. Okay, so are you ready for these?
Okay, let's give it a go.
Let me get my phone out. Bada bing, bada boom. So this is a combination of Reddit and Instagram and YouTube. All right, let's find this. Which one should I ask?
Make them interesting. No boring questions, please.
Yeah, I'm just scanning through them. Oh my God. Okay. This sounds quite interesting, right? What's this person's name? I should have. I'll probably just put it in the descriptions later. So he said, "What is the one design that you made of a car that later got shot down that you wish would have made it into production or even a prototype?"
Well, it's an interesting one because, like I said, I work in a place, in a design studio where very little is wasted. We're very aligned to what needs to be delivered. So a lot of the proposals and stuff are, very thoughtful and to the point. So I can't say that I have worked on anything that kind of has been thrown away. I think the way we work is such that we're very careful not to waste time, energy, or resources. So luckily, in that kind of environment, we don't do show cars because our show cars are the cars that we build. So it's super cool. Oftentimes you'll see a really cool show car, and then 5 years later it comes into production and it looks nothing like the show car.
I hate that. Oh my God, there's nothing worse. I hate that.
And personally, from a design perspective, like to me, I find that I would find it kind of demoralizing because there's this awesome vision, and if you can't deliver it, I'm not, that's not really exciting for me. So in this case, I would say I haven't really worked on anything in McLaren that I wish had happened differently. I think we all go down the road, and it's the stuff that's delivered at the end is, everyone's happy with it, particularly in the design studio. So we know that we achieve what we set out to do. So yeah, I can tell you many examples of doing sketches at university that I thought, oh, that would have been cool, but maybe looking at it back now, maybe my instructors were right to tell me not to do it.
Hey, it's an evolution, right? It's like
of course,
you live and you learn.
Always.
I think I had a question from George Danford. You might know George. George is like a McLaren obsessive. He literally, the F1 is a be and end all of all cars, right? He's like,
I think I
every
remember
car.
George, yes.
Yeah, big tall dude. Yeah, George. Oh my gosh, I think he had a question for you. Let me find it. This guy loves McLaren F1 even more than his parents, I think. It's that kind of craziness. What's George's question? his question was pretty straight to the point, right? So from your point of view, right? He said, "How would you spec your Speedtail?"
Oof. That one's a really difficult one because if, but no, I think I know what I'd do. I think personally, I really like colors like volcano yellow, volcano orange, volcano red. Some of those colors that really have a lot of
Rawkus
movement.
red, you mean, like, right?
The Rawkus red is nice
red?
as well. Yeah, perfect. But no, I think I like those kind of colors because they really show off the form and the volumes. So like you were saying on the 720S, those shoulders and the shapes and stuff. Looking at those colors, they really accentuate the shape and the leanness of the surfaces on the car. So if I was going to spec a Speedtail, it would probably be volcano orange. And then on the interior, because obviously that's the part that I helped develop and design, I'd probably focus on doing orange as well, but like a nice vibrant orange. Obviously keep the driver zone area dark and probably have a faded black to orange on the wings. But
interesting. I
think there's one car that I've seen on the production line where I looked and I went, that's exactly what I would order. And I think when it comes out, I'll send you a link to it so you can see it. But
okay,
it was amazing. I think I would definitely stick to the McLaren roots and pick a nice orange on the exterior, and then maybe some black and orange on the interior, because I think particularly on the interior, because you have all the leather, and as kind of the leather content moves around to the back, you have just the exposed carbon structure. So picking a bright contrasting color next to black because of the carbon fiber, super cool. So and for example, there's another one that another Speedtail which I thought was really cool was the triple colored blended one. If you've seen,
I think I think George might have sent me. I saw that. Yeah.
So that one faded from almost 3 different colors, front to back on the car. Plus it had the contour pack, which exposes key areas of aerodynamic areas, and in that case there was carbon fiber. So I mean, so many options and opportunities. But if I did, I'd probably do a liquid orange or a volcano orange with a contour pack exposed into carbon fiber, with some really sharp orange accents on the interior. So yeah, I think if you're going to get a car if I'm going to get a car like that,
if you're going to spend that kind of money, yes.
Yeah.
My gosh. Whew. Okay, let me see what else I have here for you. Let's find because some of these you've already answered them during the conversation. So
okay, cool.
So this one is okay. This person said, "Why would you design the car that clean without any particular wings and not that many aerodynamic parts?" I think you already kind of answered this. His name is Dario Fontana. Mm-hmm. This guy is an amazing photographer all the way from Switzerland. Okay. How do you answer that one? I think you may have already answered it, but
the simplest thing I could say is why not? I mean, if you can make if you can make one shape perform 3 different functions, why wouldn't you? You can save weight, you can save on aero and drag. Why not? I mean, what's the point in putting features that don't do anything?
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. I mean, the whole thing, I think a wing will totally destroy. I couldn't think of anything worse to have a wing on a Speedtail. I mean, it just wouldn't work.
It's like one of those things that obviously a lot of stuff in the past has been presented as well, and Rob's talked about it, and Frank. And biomimicry is one of those things that we obviously look to a lot, and that's looking at nature. You can learn a lot from nature. So when you look at a shark, you know, why doesn't a shark have 3 or 4 fins? Well, because it doesn't need it. It's been designed to do everything it's supposed to with the bare minimum. So yeah.
Yeah. Even better, a shark with a wing on the back. Let my imagination go crazy. I think we have space for maybe one more.
Okay.
This person said, what was the goal with the project? It seems like a road legal streamliner to take the top speed record from Bugatti. the Speedtail looks far more the part. So he likes to look at the Speedtail more, but the Bugatti obviously has a record by a large margin. Then he said that car looks great. I'm just confused on what it's for. Yeah, what do you think about that?
For me, I mean, I think, like you said, they're two very different cars. The Speedtail is a Hyper GT. It's a car that, like you said, can take 3 people. It's a car that has luggage. It's a car that can do 0 to 300 in the fastest accelerating car we've ever done. So it's not necessarily about top speed. It's about how quick you get to speed. Yeah. So acceleration is far more important than top speed, because when when you start going that fast, you need 11 miles of road to go that fast and stop. Then you need special tires. Then you need special. So it really it doesn't provide. I think the easy approach to just going that fast. You can jump in a Speedtail. It's really cool actually. Just to that point, when we did the photography and the speed runs down in Florida in Cape Canaveral. Yeah, the car did it many times, and it wasn't on special tires, and it wasn't in a special setup or anything. So it's the kind of car that accelerates really fast, and it gets there faster than anything else. And it can do it repeatedly. From you taking the key and jumping in it, there's no extra keys to be unlocking horsepower and stuff. I just think that they're very different cars. One's very different. It obviously weighs and it has a lot more horsepower, but the McLaren is lightweight. It achieves similar things in a different way, and I think that's what's great thing about the world at the moment. It's so exciting to be in the car industry because everyone's trying to do some really amazing stuff. So you can't knock on anyone's approach. It's just really cool that everyone finds different ways of doing similar things. Yeah. And it's super cool. But
okay. Now to close things off, so what advice would you give to a younger you or someone out there in the world who is thinking about of one day becoming a car designer? What is the one piece of advice that you could give them?
I get this one a few times when I do questions and stuff. But it's actually interesting. I think a lot of people get scared away from the kind of creative fields in the art industry and that kind of stuff. And there is a genuine concern because there's far fewer jobs than there are people that want to do this. But I'd say if you set your mind to it and you do everything in your power to achieve it, you can. I think if you do get into the university you want. You're going to have to work crazy hours. You're going to have to put together a great portfolio. But what you need to do is surround yourself with people that you can learn from. I think one of my favorite quotes I've heard in the past is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. And I agree with that one, because you need to be able to learn from many different people, whether that's people that are engineers, people that are, in aerodynamics, people, just whatever it is. Surround yourself in environments where you can actually learn a lot about different things. If you do get into the university and you are there, don't just be focused on the sketches. Focus also on the production of things. How are things made? Because a lot of the time, the way things are made can influence the way you design them. If you 3D print a component, you can do something very different with it than if you machine it from solid, for example. Or if you injection mold it, or if you do whatever. So you have to be hungry to learn about design, about the process, about all of it. And the biggest one I would say as well is always look for opportunities and opportunities to create exposure for yourself, to learn from people. If you get invited to a car unveiling and you have to drive across Los Angeles at peak traffic, just do it. Do it. You have to be curious. You have to be curious. You have to be kind of hungry and just do it, because you'll probably have a lot more regrets if you didn't do it than if you didn't and it didn't work out. So, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. See, there you go, people. See, that's like advice there for you. So if you have any dreams of one day designing a Speedtail or something at McLaren or any other car manufacturer, there's a perfect advice for you. Don't don't, whatever you do, turn down crossing the country to an unveiling. Do it, whatever you do. And when you get there, also obviously be nice as well. Take a portfolio with you. Imagine if you turned up, no portfolio, no business card, nothing. Whew. Yeah, so be prepared for opportunities is basically, what you've said. So, yeah. So I think we've pretty much covered everything, and I know you're probably sketching something really, really cool right now, so I'm going to have to let you go. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming on to the Car Radio Rawkus TV show today. And if you want to check out Alex, so this is your Instagram bit. So it's Alexiev_Alex. So I'm going to spell it out for you guys. So that's Alpha Lima Echo Zulu for X, and India Echo Victor _ Alpha Lima Echo X-ray. Did I do that right? Yeah. So that's him on Instagram. Go check out his Instagram. He often posts on there, but also does live and stories as well. So yeah. So thank you very much, Alex. And I really appreciate your time. And oh man, I cannot wait to put this together.
Thanks for having me. No, it was great to meet you at the shows, and finally I'm glad we were able to do this one. But yeah, it's really cool. Really cool. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, I just remember the Speedtail, man. It showed me around the whole thing. It was, oh God, it was incredible. So I can't thank you enough. But I'm sure I'll see you very soon at one of the shows, at maybe a secret unveiling somewhere. But until then,
fingers crossed. Yeah. Fingers crossed. We got some shows. Yeah. All right, take care.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think let's get 2020 out the way first.
Yeah.
And then let's move on from there. But have an amazing rest of the day, Alex, and speak to you later.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
You too.
Ciao.
Have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.